We are now streaming live on YouTube.
Mr. Frank Otero, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Mr. Steven Otero,
Yes, I can.
Mr. Brian Smith,
Yes, I can.
Dr. Romero.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, I can hear you.
It is now 6:08, and I would like to call this meeting to order and thank everyone for joining. Due to the current CDC regulations, the board members are participating via Zoom for this meeting. And I would like to welcome those who are participating via Zoom and those watching the board meeting via live stream on YouTube. The link to the meeting is on the district webpage under Board of Education. The streaming will run through the end of the meeting. If the board is on break or in closed session, the screen will fade to black and the sound will be muted. In the event there's a disruption in the audio portion, I will pause the meeting until it is reestablished. Board members participating Zoom are Board Member Frank Otero, Board Member Stephen Otero, and Board Member Brian Smith. And right now I'd like to thank Mr. Brian Smith. He's been deployed for a couple of weeks and he's had to jump through the hoops to be able to attend these meetings. Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Hedon.
Dr. Romero, would you please announce the meeting?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This meeting has been announced in accordance with the open meetings resolution and is a legally constituted meeting of the Los Lunas School Board of Education.
Okay, I would like to go to number 3, the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight we have Alba Ibarra, a senior at Valencia High School, here to lead us in the pledge. Ms. Ibarra, are you there?
Yes. Pledge allegiance.
Please lead us in the pledge.
Sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Ibarra, for that. Dr. Romero, are there any changes or deletions to the agenda?
Mr. President, I do not recommend any changes or deletions to the agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Romero. I will stand for a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Board Member Vickers. I have a motion by Board Member Vickers to approve the agenda.
I'll second that motion.
I have a second by Board Member Steve Otero. Board members, do you have any discussion? If not, I'll ask for the votes. Board Member Smith, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Board Member Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Steve Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Vickers, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Motion passes. I will go to item number 5, approval of consent items. We'll stand a motion for regarding the consent items.
Mr. President, I move that we consent the agenda with the exception of item 11G, 11H, 11I, 11J, sub-items 1, 2, and 3, and 11K.
Board members, I have a motion by Board Member Vickers to approve the consent items, except for item G, item H, item I, item J, 1, 2, and 3, and item K. I have a motion. Is that a good motion, sir? That is your motion, sir?
Yes, it is.
Board members, I'll go ahead and second that motion. Any discussion on this item? No discussion. We have a motion and a second. I will stand for the vote. Board Member Dave Vickers, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Board Member Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Steve Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Brian Smith, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
I also vote yes. Motion carries. For the benefit of the audience, all agenda items have been reviewed by the board members individually. Consent items are the action items on the agenda presented by the superintendent and staff for approval. If no discussion has been asked regarding these items by any of the board members, the items may be submitted for approval with one motion and one vote. That takes me to that will take me to item number 7, superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr.
Sure,
President. Thank you, Mr. President. Do have some updates for everyone tonight. Thank you all for being here tonight. We're going to start this evening with my favorite part of the evening, of course. I want to thank our student from Valencia High for leading us in the pledge tonight. I also have another student from sophomore from Valencia High School to join us to talk about being back on campus for the first time in over a year. Austin Kelly Carney. Austin, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, Austin, I'm going to turn it over to you. Can you give us an update on what's going on over at VHS, how things are going, and how it's going for you as a student?
Yes, sir. Good evening, President Hierro, members of the board, and Dr. O'Mara. I'd like to start off with a quick shout out for the invite, giving me a chance to speak tonight. And to all the staff at Valencia High School for making the latest change into in-person school such a positive experience. Hi, my name is Austin Kelly Carney. I'm a sophomore at Valencia High School. My first time being back on campus for over an entire year was about 3 weeks ago. Going back to school has so far been quite the transition. Communication was slow in the beginning, and talking face-to-face with people has been a little awkward, but there have also been some amazing things that have come out of it. In the last few weeks, I've gotten to catch up with people who I haven't talked to for this entire year and build back those connections. And use all the social skills I'd packed up and stored away during the rough times in quarantine. I've gotten to connect with my teachers and participate in live instruction, which, trust me, is such a huge leap from online. Thanks to going back to school, it has caused a drastic change in my sleep schedule, but it has added so much structure to my daily life. Thanks to this new structure, it opens up more time for me to focus on my studies, while giving me the opportunity to use my extra time at home doing what I love to do. While only spending a few weeks at Valencia this year, I can already feel the stresses I saw during online school fading away. I've already started to build back the ties that I thought were lost over quarantine and to work on my social skills, even if it's just with the people I talk with at lunch. I'm very glad that I have the chance to come back on Valencia campus this year. Thank you for your time, and I hope you all have an incredible evening.
Austin, amazing. Can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yes, sir.
Austin, if you could talk to me a little bit about what are some of the things that you are involved in at school, whether that be athletics, clubs, and what is it that you're looking for in your near future? What are you striving to do? I want to just kind of get to know a little bit about what your goals are.
So actually, I'm really involved in band, and I'm looking to go into the That's my big dream. But other than that, I just recently got into student council, and that was kind of got me involved with public speaking and talking to you guys and giving me the chance to talk tonight. And I've also been really into like the science field, so I'm planning, if not in the music industry, to go into marine biology.
That is wonderful to hear. Austin, what do you play?
I play drums and guitar.
Oh, I love it. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Board, I'd like to see if any board members have any questions or comments for Austin. Thank you for doing this tonight, Austin.
Of course. Thank you for the invite and the opportunity.
Hello, Austin. This is Frank Otero. I just want to thank you for dressing up tonight, and maybe we should have wore it. Maybe we should have wore a tie also. You're a good. I mean, you're a good example for our community. So thank you. I mean, you seem like an outstanding young person, and good luck with things. And hopefully, we'll be back to a more normalized school here soon. I hope. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Otero.
Austin, Zelo Giron. It makes me feel real good that what you just said there, things are coming back around. People that you thought that you never, I mean, those social issues that you thought that wouldn't be there, and they're back to normal. And I want to do a little shout out to you guys over there at Valencia High School, because I keep hearing you guys' band program is awesome. And I mean, since all last year we had this COVID and I was not able to attend and watch that, but I hear you guys have a really good program, and I wish you the best of luck. And Mr. Frank Otero's right. You're making us all look bad. You wore the bolo. I mean, none of us wore the tie, so you're making us look bad. Good job, guy.
Thank you. And yeah, we have an incredible band program. I'm so glad I get to be a part of it. And thank you. I had to dress extra classy for tonight.
Austin, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to following you and how you're doing as a student and how you move on in life with your goals. Thank you so much for being here. And you hit on something important. You talked about public speaking, and I think this was amazing for you to come in tonight. Everyone else out there listening, students, this is a skill you need to be able to develop, to be able to talk about you and your story in front of people and be able to develop those public speaking skills. So good job tonight, Austin. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
I'm going to move on now to just some updates on how things are going. We have had some successful, wonderful days in our classrooms and at our schools. You just got to hear Austin talk about some of those amazing experiences to be able to reconnect with their peers, their friends, their teachers, and you start to see that anxiety level go down, that stress level go down with students. And I hear these stories over and over again. As we are starting to round out this year, this is our last week of April. We're getting into May. We're starting to see how this 2021 year is going to end. And we're going to end on a positive note. I'm really excited about that. We're already deep in discussions about next year and what that looks like. And one of the questions I get most often is, what is blended learning going to look like next year? And I want to just talk for a few minutes about this so that you can hear what our plans are for next year. Teachers have been doing an amazing job in this blended learning environment. We have a group of students that are at home. Those are our Zoomers that we're calling them. And they have a group of students that are in the classroom. Those are our roomers. So if you've heard that term, our roomers and our Zoomers, they have been amazing to be able to adapt to this multi, environment for our students. But as we move into next year, we really want to be able to allow for teachers and students to have, to make a choice, to be able to be full-time in the classrooms in kind of that traditional setting, or have that option to be in a virtual setting. So this week, you should have gotten, parents, community, a interest form for our upcoming virtual academy that we have looking to be built next year. If you haven't got the interest form, you can find it on our website. You can find it on social media. We need as much information back about families that are interested in our virtual academy next year. This is going to be something for K through 12. It's important that we get this information back so we can build the program properly. How many students are interested? And this is going to allow us to know how many classrooms we need to have, what kind of resources we need to put into that. So again, if you have not gotten or completed the interest form for the virtual academy, please make sure you do so tonight, tomorrow. The sooner we get that information, the better. If you have any questions about this, parents, please reach out to your teachers, to your principals, and we'd love to be able to answer any questions that you have about it. But it's important that we get that feedback from you all about who's interested so that we can build the program appropriately. Next, what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about the calendars for next year. I know everyone's waiting anxiously about what that's going to look like. So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and I'm going to be showing you tonight some different concepts that we have that we'll be taking forward to different constituents. So give me just a moment. And hopefully you can all see a slide deck that I'm going to be sharing with you tonight. But before I get into what the calendars are going to look like, I want to set the stage for where we're going to be going next year when it comes to student outcomes and needs of our students right here in Los Lunas. This is a presentation that we gave to the board back in February, and I want to thank Elena Trodden for this. This really set up how students are doing in our community. We've got a lot of successes. You just heard Austin tonight talk about those successes, but we also have a lot of room for growth and improvement, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So I want to give you some data, what it looks like when it comes to some of our summative assessments based on English language arts. And really what I want you to do is we're going to be looking at this from a high level. So district-wide data. This is not connected to an individual school or classroom. This is overarching high-level data across the district. And we've got this back for a few years. You can see here, this is third grade English language arts. You can see in 2014, we were taking the NMSBA. In 2015, we switched over to Park. And then in 2019, we moved over to the Tamala. Now, what I really want everyone to see is a couple of things. One is what is our proficiency when it comes to each of these areas? So in this graph, we've got third grade English language arts, and you can see that trend data over the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And so what this is going to tell you is what is the percentage of students that are proficient. But I also want you to pay attention to what is the trend data over time. Are we making continued growth? Are we making declines, or are we have a flat line? So I'm going to kind of scroll through these somewhat quickly because this is all about how we're doing as an entire district. You can see here's fourth grade English language arts, fifth grade English language arts, sixth grade English language arts, and that red line is the New Mexico average, and you can see the block, the actual bar is Los Lunas schools. So in many of these instances, we are above the state, but also look at that trend over time. Seventh grade English language arts, eighth grade English language arts, ninth grade English language arts, 10th grade English language arts, 11th grade. Now we move into math. We've got third grade math, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, 11th grade, algebra 2. And I'm sorry, I got these flipped, and 10th grade geometry. So there's some good things that are happening here. There's some things that we can see that we can actually start to improve on immediately. But I want you to, again, I asked you to look at a couple of things. I'll go back to like 9th grade algebra 1. What you see here is that you see our overall proficiency in that grade level, and there's a lot of room for growth. Definitely that we need to do give better opportunities for our students to be able to successfully pass classes like Algebra 1 and show proficiency. But really the thing that I want to do first is that you see that trend over time. And what we want to see is not as a horizontal line. We really want to see a trend going up so that we constantly have improvement. And what does that improvement mean? Improvement in a trend data line like this would be a consistent pace over time, 3 to 5 percentage points over time. But when we do that over a number of years, we see dramatic growth over time. And that's really what we're looking at. So when we talk about the calendar, this is one area that we can use to be able to provide more opportunity for students. Now, this is only one area though. There are multiple things that we can do that help support this, like a strong curriculum and instruction, being able to support, set up environments where we're using the latest information on students to be able to make decisions for those students, to be able to create an environment where teachers actually talk about, reflect, and provide feedback on how students are doing and how their teaching and learning is happening in the classroom, so that we as teachers also continually improve over time. There's also the idea of, excuse me, professional development, making sure that we have the latest tools and resources available for our teachers to provide a world-class education for all of our students. So again, I wanted to remind everyone of where we're at, and there is a lot of areas for us to be able to improve on, but we can do it. We've got the right teachers. We've got amazing teachers. We've got the right principals. We've got amazing principals to be able to do this work. And we're going to do this together. But the first thing that we can do is start to look at how we use our instructional time to be able to leverage that to the best that we can. And so I also want to go into some of the feedback that we got from our community. I want to thank everybody for all the feedback that we did receive. We were able to have feedback come in multiple ways. I was able to, personally talk to dozens of families over the last couple of weeks. We were able to get feedback through emails where we had families and staff be able to reach out about how things were going and what their input was for next year. And we also had a town hall where we're able to actually receive lots of wonderful information and feedback to help us make informed decisions as we move forward into the future. So on April 19th, we did have a town hall, and we did have some wonderful feedback. And as we got all the feedback and kind of really looked at it together, it really came down to these areas. Students and families really had summer plans. This is when we were really looking at that extended opportunity calendar for the 205 days. And so with that, many of the things that happen are college visits, tribal ceremonies, sports, vacations, family time. We do have families with custody sharing. There's families involved in agriculture and farming, student jobs, camps, and daycare. There was also some feedback about just the timing of this, wanting to give more input, more options, and really more communication. There was some staff concerns around burnout, overworked, increased need for daycare, decreased family time, summer classes that they take themselves, potential for being in a remote or blended learning environment in July. And we're really looking at eliminating that stressor, as I talked about before, about one, having a traditional classroom and our virtual learning academy. And some of the recommendations were to focus on quality instruction over quantity. I love that idea. Increase focus on social emotional learning and mental health. Also very, very important. We also were able to have conversations with every staff, and I want to thank principals for doing this with your staff. We really tried to have a conversation with all staff about what the benefits would be to an extended calendar, and also some of the drawbacks. I'm not going to read through all these, but you can read through these. Some of the benefits for students, some of the benefits for staff and for families, but also some of the drawbacks for students, staff, and families. So these are things that we can actually work on this year as we continue to actually plan out not just this year's calendar, upcoming year's calendar, but future year's calendar, so that we make sure that we are adapting and meeting the needs of those specific kids at that time, but also preparing our community for what's to come. And we will be doing that and continuing to reach out to families in the community to be able to do that. So now I want to move into some of the ideas that we have to start the conversation around calendar. And really, it really falls around two different sets of instructional days. We have a 186-day calendar, and we have a 190 instructional day calendar. So what we're going to be doing is this week meeting back with our calendar committee, also working with our local union. I want to thank NEA Las Lunas. And we will also be bringing this to the staff to be able to give us feedback on this. So this is an example. And again, this is just a concept right now. It's just an example to be able to get the conversation started with those different constituents groups about what a 186-day calendar looks like. These are going to be things that you as a community are most used to. And in this one, I'm really going to just go through really quickly. We have 3 different ideas of what this could look like. This one, you can see that we start school the first week of August and we end right before Memorial Day. We go on to the option 2. This is where we actually start the last week of July, and we're able to end a little bit before actual Memorial Day, kind of earlier in May. And then we have option 3, which we actually start the second week of August, and we're ending just after Memorial Day. And then there is some conversation that we have to have around when is spring break, when, what is it going to look like for Thanksgiving, Good Friday, things like that. That is some of the feedback that we're going to continue to get from these different constituents groups. So again, I'm going to go back to our option 1 for 186 days. You can see that they're very similar, but we really have the big differences here are the differences in start and end times. Option 2 and option 3. This allows for 186 instructional days for our students. The next set of ideas that we have is actually moving to a 190-day calendar. This would allow for more instructional time with our students, with teachers. That is a benefit. That is one of the major ideas that we have to be able to improve outcomes for students. And I want to remind everybody back to that data that there is a need for improvement with our students across our district. So as we move into this, we've got a 190-day calendar. And again, this is 190 days. This is 4 more instructional days than we have in that 186. And you can see here that we would really be starting in this idea the last week of July and ending right before Memorial Day. And then we go to another idea. This is really what we're calling option 2. Again, really starting at the end of July. And there's some differences in there when it comes to some of the days off. And we have kind of an option 3 where we actually start the first week of August and we're ending really around the first week of June. Now, these are all ideas to be able to start the conversation. Again, we want to be able to get that feedback from our constituents. We're going to be meeting with that calendar committee this week, and then we'll be moving on again with our local union, and we'll be finishing up with getting feedback from our staff. And as we do that, we will be getting closer and closer to being able to provide a solid calendar idea to our board. And we will be probably bringing this up in early May to be able to get this approval from our board. And it's important that we get this approved. This is really hinges on everything that we do moving forward as we plan for what next year is going to look like. And it's important that we know that as soon as possible so that we can plan for that. So with that, members of the board, I stand for any questions about this. I want to thank everybody that has got us to this point so far. And when I say that, I really say that about our entire community. I want to say that about all of our staff. And I want to say that for our team that is working to be able to keep this conversation moving forward. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and see if I can do that. And I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you for that, Dr. Romero. Board members, any questions?
Mr. President, Dr. Romero. Would you go over again where the parent input comes into play in all these options? And is it going to be a survey, MailChimp or something like that sent out to get parents' input?
Yes, sir, Mr. Vickers, Mr. President, Mr. Vickers. Once we are having the conversations with our calendar committee, our local union, then we'll be able to send that out to our community to be able to really give us some input on really narrowing it down to probably a couple of different calendar options. And we can do that through a survey.
All right, thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Steve Otero?
just if I can ask Dr. Romero, there's quite a bit of anxiety about the last proposal of the calendar not involving our teachers or community or anybody else, and I appreciate the question that Mr. Vickers asked. But the two words that I'm hearing from you, Dr. Romero, is feedback and input. Can you define what that means? And to me, it seems like our staff and our teachers and our parents should be the first ones to know what is out there and actually provide maybe what you call feedback or input, but actually provide a vote, then take it to the union, then take it to the board. But I think our staff should be the first ones to review this. And here we go again. This is, we're like not even 2 weeks out and we're back to the same situation. What I would say the same situation is in reference to still not including our staff. I know you said you're gonna have feedback, but you know, I hope it's not the type that we had during the town hall meeting where nobody could speak. All they could do was write in their questions, concerns, or issues. I just here again, I know you have your plan. I just think that we need to get back on track and include our teachers, include our staff, include our parents. Those are the ones that felt they were not included last time. So I mean to say that we're going to get feedback and input, and then even the survey I think is a little vague again. So I just like to see a better participation from our community first.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President,
Mr. Frank Otero?
well, I really don't have a question. I just have some comments. You know, this has been a real tough subject for some time now, but I just want to thank Mr. Dr. Romero for moving in the direction where we can, look at reality. And the other one would have been, in a perfect world, would have been nice, but it's just something that it just won't work right now. And you just, you just showed the reasons why, and I agree 100% with, from everything I've heard, everything on those bullet points was involved. So, but all I've got to say right now is, we all got to work for the kids, and so it's all up to all of us to look at these plans, and and I don't really expect them to create any more samples or what have you. I mean, there's a lot of choice there, and as long as the decision making is done right. So enough of everyone going in different directions. Let's all get involved and get a hold of somebody somehow and let the board know which plan you support. I mean, it's the bottom line. If people are watching our meetings and paying attention, I mean, we got feedback sometime back. I never got so many emails in my life, but in the past week, it's nil. I haven't received not one. So, it just comes and goes. And so that's what I'm asking. And I think, as probably as a senior member of the board, I urge this board to, and the district and the parents and the teachers and what have you, let's all work together right now. I think this is narrowing down. That's the part of decision making and yeah, there is, I'm not going to point fingers or what have you. Enough's enough. But if some people might have been offended, we need to get over it, and it's all work for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Joe.
Mr. President,
Mr. Smith?
I want to thank Dr. Romero for his presentation as well. And to echo what Mr. Frank Otero said, we did see a lot of emails, and I want to let the people know sending the emails that I did read them. It's just a little bit difficult for me to respond to them right now, but I did take everything into heart, and I did have a conversation with Dr. Romero regarding them. It's just a little difficult to answer all of them. But I think when I step back and I look at what we're trying to accomplish here, the problem that we're dealing with is, in my opinion, we have a superintendent that wants to educate our kids more and better. And I think that's an awesome problem to have. I did also relay my concerns as to the timing of it, and I agreed with a lot of the emails on both sides. And to go along with that, the concerns that we get from our constituents and our teachers and our students, there's no statute of limitations for those. So I'm still considering concerns that we had about coming back to school or not coming back to school, or whether school's safe, or we don't spend enough time in the classroom, or we spend too much time in the classroom. I mean, these are all concerns that we get all the time. And depending on what subject we're talking about, that's where the bulk of the concerns are referenced to. And I get that, and I understand that, and I appreciate the passion that we have as a community. But what I would like to see is some sort of a steering committee or something similar to that is made up of different groups in our community, of the shareholders, whether it be parents and staff members and administration, and come together and start working on this, because it's obvious that we do need to do a little bit better of a job educating our kids. And it's not because we're not doing it well in the classroom with our teachers. I think they do a terrific job. I think the kids study hard. I think the parents do a great job when the kids get home and help them as well. But I think as a community, in order to progress to where we want to be, and I would like to see Los Lunas be the bar, not set the bar, just be the bar, and have everybody try to catch up to us. And in my opinion, in order to get to that level, we're all going to have to make some sort of a sacrifice. And I think if we got together and we worked really hard, and we have some time now, and I think we should strongly consider some sort of a committee or something like that, so where we could work together and come up with an understanding of where we want to go. And like Mr. Frank Otero said, ultimately we have to educate these kids, and that's what we're doing. And everybody is doing a terrific job. But to get them where I think we want to go and where they need to go, it's gonna take a little bit of sacrifice from all of us. I mean, I applaud the work that our teachers have done this year. We have no idea how difficult it's been, and they did a tremendous job. They stepped up. Our parents stepped up. Some of them stayed home, when they're not used to staying home. Some of them had to actually quit working for a while, and I applaud them too, in the community. But I hope that we can come together and come up with something that we can educate the kids better. And it's going to take a little bit of a sacrifice. And it may be 4 days at the beginning of the year, 4 days after. I don't know what the plan's going to look like, but I think we need to do something. And I know that we will. I know that we'll all step up, and we will we'll come together and we'll be champions for our kids. And I think it's gonna work out well in the end. But I just wanted to voice my opinion on as to where I think we should go. And I think we have a lot of time to get there. And with the proper planning, we can include everybody and we can all get on the same page and we can move forward. So I just wanted to throw those comments out there. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Dr. Merle, thank you for that. A couple of weeks ago, we had this meeting and you brought up this calendar. Our inbox and our email filled up really quick. And I tried to read them all. I don't know if I read them all. I may have missed a couple. But it was probably April the 15th. I mean, I think we had the meeting was April the 12th, April the 15th. I went to go see my mom and she tells me, well, looks like you guys got the community riled up. And I just stayed quiet. And I think she knew she pushed a nerve there. So she tells me, what's it going to, I understand what you guys are trying to do. What's it going to take in this, what does it take? Is it a Democrat thing? Is it a Republican thing? And I told her, Mom, you know what it's going to take? It's going to take all those emails, all that passion that those parents and teachers had to hold us accountable for those graphs that Dr. Romero showed. 8% proficiency in algebra, 9% in another grade level. We got to see the bars where they're at. I don't know what happened in 2014. I don't know if those numbers are skewed, but from 15 to 19, they were the same. We got to see the red bar where we were at in New Mexico. And who knows how we're going to be for last year, where we're at last year. But I told everybody, I'm for this program, but if it came for a vote right now, I would have to vote against it. And somebody asked me, why would you vote against it if you're for it? Well, we have to have everybody's buy-in to move those bars in a different direction, like Dr. Romero said, and go north with them. Everybody's buy-in. And we didn't have everybody's buy-in. And if we'd have forced something or done something like that, it would have just made a toxic environment and it wouldn't have been good. We have to pay attention of those bars and that graph and where we're at, because we're better than that. We're better than 8 and 9%. So I don't know how we're going to plan and get this together, how we're going to include everybody, all the people that have skin in the game. I don't know how we're going to do that. We're going to do that. I know we are, just by reading all the emails. So I hope you come up with a plan that, bring us forward, guide us forward, Dr. Romero. There's one other thing. It's okay that we get these emails and they're spirited. I hope this comes out right. It's okay. Do you want to blast us? That's fine. But we're a community. I don't belong to any social media, but people will take screenshots of stuff and send it to my school phone. And we're better than that. Let's not pit each other. Let's not pit one community member against another. We're just trying to move this thing forward. Let's address our problems and let's all work together. We have a chance. We hired a superintendent right now that our only problem with him is he wants to educate our students. That's a heck of a good problem. And let's figure this out. So I wish you the best of luck, Dr. Romero, and hope you have something for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
This item was for information only and no action is needed or warranted. That will take us to item number 8, presentation, New Mexico School Board Association and Los Lunas School Board of Education Excellence and Student Achievement Award recipient. And that'll be the Los Lunas Technology Department. Let me read. Every year, each district, in conjunction with the New Mexico School Board Association, is allowed to select an individual or group who most exemplified excellence in promoting student achievement. This year's this year's award recipient is the Los Lunas Schools Technology Department in recognition of their tireless efforts to ensure that every student and staff member had the technology needed to ensure success in the classroom, in the office, and or classroom, and at home. There are not enough words to express our appreciation for all you do. I would also like to congratulate Mr. Good, the Director of Technology, and Claire Simmons, its Chief Financial Officer, for the direction and diligence. Mr. Romero, do you have that on the screen?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. This is the award that we'll be giving over to our technology department. I just want to take this opportunity just to personally thank everyone in that department for all the work that they do. Not only now during the pandemic, but every day. They are an intricate part of making sure that our students have a 21st century education. And especially during this pandemic, we could not have gone not one day without the support of all these individuals, making sure that our schools continued to function, whether they were in the classroom or whether they were at home. So, Mr. Good, thank you for all that you do. You are amazing. Your team is amazing. And I know that you're going to continue to do amazing things for us.
Dr. Romero, can you, this last couple of weeks, everybody asked me about data. So so people can wrap their hands around this, how many devices do we have out for students and for staff and our central office, what they're supporting?
So what's amazing about that is that we have a one-to-one environment for all of our students and all of our staff. So let's put a number to that. We've got 8,600 students. We've got over 650 teachers, classrooms. That is an amazing feat right there to make sure that those are working every single day. But on top of that, you've got everything behind the walls. We've got all of our servers. We've got everything that we hold with data. We've got all of our Wi-Fi, making sure that everything is working perfectly all of the time. And even tonight, the only reason that we can be able to hold this board meeting in a Zoom environment and to be able to have all of us there, all of our staff participate, but all of our community participate is because of the work of our technology department. So again, thank you for all that you do. Let me turn it over to Claire for just a minute. I want to see if she has any words because she is instrumental in making sure this clicks along every single day. Ms. Hermans?
Thank you, Dr. Romero. Mr. President, members of the board, thank you for this great honor. I do want to acknowledge Mike Good and his leadership in the technology department. Mike, I know you're here with us. John and Clark and all of the technology department. I want to make sure that everybody gives a big shout out to those people from day one. You're right. That was first and foremost with us going forward with this district, is that we wanted to make sure that we had up-to-date devices and get them in the hands of our kids and continue the learning. So absolutely did an amazing job. And a lot of this stuff, when you can get devices in kids' hands, but first you have to make sure that they'll have access in their homes or at our school sites. And Mike, again, the vision, the leadership, collaboration with the ed tech technology department, we just made sure that everything was going. So Susan, in your department as well, I just want to make sure that, you know, everybody realizes this is a team effort and there's a lot of hard work that goes in and planning years prior to us being able to put devices in the kids' hands and us moving forward. So thank you, Mike. Thank you, technology. You guys did an awesome job.
Yeah, thank you, Claire. If I can get my tech John there to turn on my video, you guys might be able to see me. I'll make a few comments here really quickly. There we go. All right. So yes, I just want to say thank you for our entire department for the recognition. We typically do our jobs in the back closets, and we're very, very often in the background, and a lot of us even prefer it that way. However, this particular year, we were really called out to bring our product front and center, so to speak. And we were forced into an environment where we had to go one-to-one without much of a choice. So I just wanted to say thank you to our entire department. We've got some fabulous staff members within our department that are not only extremely competent, but caring about the students and making sure that students and teachers, making sure that technology works, which, you know, technology is great when it does work, but sometimes it doesn't. And we're quite aware that not everything's perfect. But so thank you to the community and to the teachers and students who've been patient with us. But I wanted to add one more thing, and that is that I just don't believe that our department would be nearly as successful without our sister department, and that's the Educational Technology Department. And so big shout out to Susan and Mary and to Tamara and Rose, especially, who are in classrooms, either in person or virtually on a daily basis, making sure that technology works and that our teacher training is there so that we can be successful. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. Again, amazing as always. Now over to my right over here, and you guys don't see him in the background, but John is over there. He's making sure everything is running smoothly right now. John, thank you for everything. These are the guys that when something does go wrong and I get to call them like, it's not working, and they come over and they fix it immediately. No matter what the problem is, no matter what time of day it is, they always do that. Again, thank you to everybody. So with that, board members, we stand for any questions about this award and this amazing department.
Mr. President.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to commend Mr. Good and the Technology Department. I was very happy to support this decision because, relatively speaking, we had to go into an arena that we weren't accustomed to doing, and we had to educate the kids from home. And boom, they made it happen relatively in a great amount of time. Same with the teachers, having the teachers in the kids' living room, the kids in their living room, in the classroom, board meetings via Zoom. Everything had to happen, and it had to happen fast. And they did an amazing job at getting that done. And I don't think that we lost a tick when it came to educating the students, when we had to shift from one world to another. I just want to commend them for the amazing job they do. They have an amazing staff, and you're right, Dr. Romero, you can call them anytime you want, and they will be there for you. They're very, very good at what they do, and they're very, very much appreciated. And as Mike alluded to, yeah, they work in the closet sometimes. They're out there and nobody gets to see them, but none of this happens without you. So I want you guys to know that, how much we appreciate your hard work. And you're well deserving of this team as a department. And I want to thank everybody, Claire, the tech ed department as well, in the collaboration. It was amazing. And I know that our kids appreciate it. And I certainly do. So thank you guys very much.
Mr. President, Dr. Romero. I just wanted to also mention, it was mentioned a few minutes ago that there was a lot of work done in the years prior to this by some of the predecessors who made sure we had the technology and equipment in place for students. If you recall, last year, when suddenly the schools were ordered to be completely shut down, it seemed like we were only, there was only 1 or 2 days before we were up and running and continuing education. And some of the districts around the state were like 2 weeks out before they got to that point. So we were there because people had planned ahead, laid the groundwork, and we had really competent people that were able to jump on this and make it happen when we needed it to happen. So they definitely deserve to be applauded for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murr, for that.
Thank you, Mr. President.
That will now take us to item 11G. And that's for discussion, approval of MOA between Los Lunas Schools and ENMU statewide dual credit master agreement 2021-22 New Mexico secondary and post-secondary dual credit program. Dr. Romero.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 11G is MOU between Los Angeles Schools and Eastern New Mexico University. For this, we have Dr. Elder to talk to us a little bit about this and stand for any questions.
Thank you, President Haroon and Superintendent Romero, members of the board. The first item that we're bringing this evening is an MOA with Eastern New Mexico University, and that allows Los Lunas students to take specific courses related to acting, filmmaking, culinary arts, metal fabrication, and agriculture. And these are courses that may not be offered through our typical community partner school, which is UNMVC. And so thank you for your consideration of this MOA.
Board members? Board member Steve Otero, this is one that you wanted discussion on?
I was on mute there. All I want to do, and I think Dr. Romero has been doing this, religiously since he's been here, is to bring all the MOUs because it's a lot of exciting news that needs to be shared with the community rather than just consenting to it. So this is my only reasoning for doing this. I'm just glad it's happening. And since now I have the mic, I'd like to, Mr. President, I expected to congratulate the tech department as well, but you jumped right into it. So it's hard to congratulate this technology department or our district when everybody else has talked so positive about them. But I've always said that our technology department has always been at the top of the game. And I think a lot has to do with our voters providing the bonds and these staff members running with it and making the best of it. So I think it's a great thing that we're doing. And it's like Mr. Vickers said, we didn't skip a beat when we had to get devices to our students. I mean, at the time, I thought there was only 15, 20 that didn't have them, and they got them right away. I mean, so the district has been doing a great job with this technology, and the technology has been given the tools, and they're using them the right way. So thank you guys for everything you do, and thank the administration for their support of it. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Otero. Right now, I stand for motion on item 11G.
Mr. President,
Mr. Frank Otero,
I move that we approve item number 11G, approval of MOA between Los Lunas Schools and ENMU, statewide dual credit master agreement, 2021-2022, New Mexico secondary and post-secondary dual credit program.
I have a motion by Mr. Board Member Frank Otero for 11G. I don't think I need to repeat, that was enough there. I mean, I think you got that one right, Karen.
And Mr. President, I will second that motion. And what Board Member Frank Otero said, I second.
I have a second for item 11G.
And I have it, sir.
Any discussion for the board members? I would like to thank Mr. Steve Otero for bringing this before us, because I think these MOAs and MOUs need to be disclosed. It's something positive for the community. So after that, Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Brian Smith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Steve Otero?
Yes.
Mr. Dave Vickers?
I vote yes.
I also vote yes. That takes us to item 11H, approval of MOA between Los Lunas Schools and CNMCC statewide dual credit master agreement 2021-2023 New Mexico secondary and post-secondary dual credit program. Dr. Romero?
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, we also have Dr. Elder that will be talking to us about this MOA between Los Angeles Schools and CNM. Dr. Elder?
Thank you, President Haroon, Superintendent Romero, members of the board. I bring you another MOA, this one with the Central New Mexico Community College, again for dual credit. We really want to enhance opportunities for students, and dual credit is a fantastic way to do that. Students can graduate from high school with credits towards workforce certification, as well as credits towards their degree. Many times we can even get students to graduate dual with both a high school diploma and an associate's degree. And so that really is our goal. We want to start to align our next step plans with our high school students with a pathway for them towards their career and towards their future. And so all of these MOAs work towards that end. And so in front of you, you have the MOA with CNM that does allow for dual credit programs. We will be bringing these MOAs on an annual basis to keep you informed of the status and the progress with them. And so with that, I give you the MOA with CNM.
Thank you, Dr. Elder. Board members?
Mr. President, Dr. Romero, Dr. Elder, can you give us a rundown of what subject areas this particular MOA deals with?
So the MOA with CNM is very broad. And so students have access to many of the courses with CNM. I don't have the specific list, but typically CNM, when we have an MOA with them with a district, they offer many of their courses. Exceptions to that would include remedial courses, physical education, and beer making. I'm not kidding, really. They don't allow that for high school kids.
I guess they'll have to wait till they graduate to get into that one.
Got to be 21.
Yeah, I think they have to be 21. They have a while.
Thank you very much.
Board members?
Mr. President,
Mr. Frank Quintero?
I move that the board approve item number 11H, approval of MOA between LL Schools and CNMCC, statewide dual credit master agreement, 2021-2022, NM secondary and post-secondary dual credit program.
I have a motion for item 11H by Board Member Frank Quintero. Do I have a second?
Second. I'll second that one.
I have a second by Board Member Steve Otero. Any discussion? Board, I will have a vote. Board Member Brian Smith, how do you vote?
I will, yes.
Board Member Steve Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Dave Vickers, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
I also vote yes. That will take us to item 11I, approval of MOA between Los Angeles Schools and UNM, statewide dual credit master agreement 2021-2022, New Mexico secondary and post-secondary dual credit program. Dr. Romero?
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, this is the MOA between Los Angeles Schools and UNM. For this, we have Dr. Elder to talk to us about it and these wonderful opportunities.
Thank you, President Haroon, Superintendent Romero, members of the board. The next MOA I'm bringing is a memorandum of agreement with the University of New Mexico main campus. Now, most of our UNM courses for our dual credit students go through UNM Valencia, but this agreement is specific to a single computer science course that UNM Valencia does not offer. And so we can amend this agreement if there were circumstances that a student wanted to take a UNM course, a different UNM course that was not offered at Valencia. But this is an MOA that sort of opens more options for our students. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Dr. Elder. Board members? Board members,
Mr. President,
Board Member Frank Otero,
I move that the board approve item number 11I, approval of MOA between Los Lunas Schools and UNM statewide dual credit master agreement 2021, 2022, New Mexico secondary and post-secondary dual credit program.
I have a motion by Board Member Frank Otero. Do I have a second?
I'll second that again.
I have a second by Board Member Steve Otero. Any discussion, board members? If not, I'll call for the vote. Board Member Brian Smith, how do you vote?
Oh, yes.
Board Member Dave Vickers, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Board Member Steve Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Frank Otero?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That will take us to item 11J1. Approve. That will take us to item 11J and 1, approval of. It'll take us to approval of MOA between Los Lunas Schools and UNMVC statewide dual credit master agreement 2021-2022 New Mexico secondary and post-secondary dual credit program, an agreement to provide certificate in personal care attendant and nursing assistant. Dr. Romero?
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Elder, can you talk to us about this certificate of personal care attendant and nursing assistant?
Certainly. Thank you, Superintendent Romero, Board President Huron, and members of the board. Our agreement with UNMVC is our primary holder of all dual credit opportunities for students in the Los Lunas schools. A couple of things that I want you to know is in all of these agreements, they cover the tuition, the higher education institution covers the tuition for the high school students, and the district picks up the cost of their textbooks and materials. Sometimes there are additional fees that students have to pay in a higher education course, and those are not covered in the agreement. Specifically at UNMVC, we do have career pathways for personal care assistant, certified nurse assistant, welding, and auto tech. And those 4 career pathways do result in a certification so that the students leave high school with a certificate, ready to work in a really good job, as well as ready to continue their education. We are committed to working closely with UNMVC on expanding those pathways. In fact, we've already met with them and have another meeting set up to start discussing that expansion, and are very excited about these opportunities for our students in Los Lunas. And so with that, I give you our final dual credit agreement for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Elder. Board members, I stand for a motion on 11J1.
Mr. President,
Mr. Frank Otero,
I move that the board approve item number 11J1, approval of MOA between L Schools and UNMVC statewide dual credit master agreement 2021, 2022 New Mexico secondary and post-secondary dual credit program. Number 1, agreement to provide certificate in personal care attendant and nursing assistant.
I have a motion by Mr. Frank Otero. Do I have a second?
I will second that motion.
I have a second by Board Member Dave Vickers. Board members, any discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Steve Otero?
did Dr. Elder address the automotive and welding all in one, I believe, or she didn't? I know she mentioned automotive and I know she mentioned welding, so it's not all one.
Board Member Otero, we're going to have to address 11J1 separate, 11.2 separate, 11.3 separate. So we'll do 2 and 3 right after this one.
I understand. I'm just asking if it was addressed. altogether. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Otero. Any more discussion? No more discussion. I'll stand for the vote. Right, Board Member Steve Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Brian Smith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Dave Vickers, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries. That takes us to 11J2, agreement to provide certificate in automotive technology. Dr. Romero.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know Dr. Elder got to speak a little bit to this, unless we stand for any questions on 11J2, agreement to provide certificate in automotive technology.
Board members?
Mr. President,
Mr. Frank Otero?
I move that the board approve item number 11J2, approval of MOA between Los Lunas Schools and UNMVC statewide dual credit master agreement 2021-2022, New Mexico secondary and post-secondary dual credit program agreement to provide certificate in automotive technology.
Thank you, Mr. Frank Otero. I have a motion to approve 11J2. Do I have a second?
No, second.
Second by Mr. Steve Otero. Board members, any discussion? If not, we'll stand for a vote. Mr. Dave Vickers, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mr. Brian Smith, how do you vote?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Steve Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That will take us to 11J3, agreement to provide certificate in welding technology. Dr. Romero?
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Elder was able to speak to the agreement to provide certificate in welding technology between Los Lunas Schools and UNMVC, and we stand for any questions.
Mr. President,
Board Member Frank Otero?
I move that the board approve item number 11J3, approval of MOA between Los Lunas Schools and UNMVC statewide dual credit master agreement 2021-2022, New Mexico secondary and post-secondary dual credit program agreement to provide certificate in welding technology.
Thank you, Board Member Frank Otero. I have a motion by Frank Otero. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
I have a second by Board Member Brian Smith. Any discussion? Dr. Elder, I would really thank you for presenting this to us. I was going to thank each one of us, and I'll wait to the end. So any more discussion, board members? I will stand for the vote. Board Member Dave Vickers, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Board Member Steve Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Brian Smith, how do you vote?
I vote yes, and I also thank Dr. Elder for her explanations. That was good. Thank you.
Board Member Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
I also vote yes. That takes us to item K, approval of MOU between Los Lunas Schools and La Vida Felicidad, New Mexico, Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant Program. Dr. Romero?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is our last MOU of the night. For this, we have Dr. Elder to talk to us about this wonderful partnership.
Thank you, Board President Huron, Superintendent Romero, members of the board. Just as we want to give our students every opportunity as they're leaving us from high school, we also want to help students in the community come to us when they come to our pre-K and K with every opportunity. And part of our comprehensive literacy state development grant does just that. As such, we are bringing forth to you an MOU with La Vida Felicidad, which is a local childcare provider. This is a requirement of the grant. And in fact, we've gone beyond partnering with just one childcare provider, but have actually reached out to 5 childcare providers in the community to extend that partnership on early reading. And so we're very excited about getting this started. And I do ask for your approval for the MOU with La Vida Felicidad.
Thank you, Dr. Elder. Board members?
Mr. President,
Mr. Dave Vickers?
Dr. Romero, board members, I move that we approve item 11K, approval of MOU between Los Lunas Schools and La Vida Felicidad, New Mexico, Comprehensive Literacy State Development Grant Program.
Thank you, Board Member Dave Vickers, for that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Board Member Steve Otero. Board members, any discussion? Again, thank you, Dr. Elder, and your staff for all this. I will stand for a vote. Board Member Brian Smith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Steve Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Dave Vickers, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
And I vote yes. Motion carries. That will take us to item number 12, announcement of meetings. This brings us to the announcement of meetings as allowed by the Open Meetings Act and District Open Meetings Resolution. On occasion, a quorum of board members attend the same function, including those held at school sites at the district level, as well as sports functions, conferences, workshops, and trainings. There will be several presentations to groups as a part of the budget process the board members might attend. Board members will refrain from discussing and/or acting on board issues in those settings. In addition, only official meetings are published, and if other meetings are scheduled, they will be announced in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. The meeting locations are dependent on mandates from the governor if need be. They will be held via Zoom. I would like to announce the following meetings. May 11th, Central Office Conference Room will have a finance meeting at 4:00 p.m. May 11th, final budget work session, Central Office Boardroom, 6:00 p.m. A quorum may be in attendance. May 25th, 2021, regular board meeting, Central Office Boardroom at 6:00. This leads us to the adjournment of the meeting. I stand for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, I move that we adjourn.
I have a motion by Mr. David Vickers to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Board Member Frank Otero. Any discussion? Board Member Steve Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Brian Smith, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Frank Otero, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Dave Vickers, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
I also vote yes. I move to adjourn the motion. The meeting is adjourned
Have a
Thank
good
you,
evening.
everyone.
at 7:25.